No, CrimeCon is not where you go to commit crimes. That's it. That's my intro. Hi, I'm Amanda. You're watching Swell Entertainment, and today I'm talking about CrimeCon, the convention of true crime. Like I said in the opening, it's not where you go to commit crimes. That was what some people guessed on social media when I told them I was going to CrimeCon in Las Vegas. I originally called it the Coachella of true crime, Crimechella, if you will, but that gave people a very specific interpretation of what it was, and I don't think it was accurate. So I think a more accurate depiction of what I can compare it to is VidCon for true crime people. Mostly podcasters, but not only podcasters. Let me start out with my disclaimer before I talk about this. So I'm talking about overall, I am reviewing the CrimeCon event itself. But in order to do that, I need to talk about some of the speakers and some of the talks that I went to. And in doing that, I will be talking about sensitive topics, open and closed cases. I'm going to be as sensitive as I possibly can be, but I don't want anyone to be uncomfortable with the things that I'm talking about. So if for whatever reason you don't think you can handle me talking about cases, I'm not going to get graphic or anything like that. But I know that the topic of true crime in general can be pretty upsetting for people. So if you don't want to continue to watch, you won't hurt my feelings. It'll be fine. I'm speaking about the cases that family members were there asking for more eyes on the cases. So that's why I'm focusing on these two cases in particular, and I will be linking information down below. Okay, it is 9:30. I've been driving since 5 a.m. I didn't know it was NFL draft weekend, so rooms aren't ready. But I got my registration handled. Got my badge. So yeah, the event doesn't start for like another 3 hours. I might go get breakfast somewhere because I really haven't eaten much. Oh, we got cards. Crime cards. I've actually been trying to go to CrimeCon for, a few years. Pre-pandemic, not during the pandemic. Obviously, they weren't happening during the pandemic. For those of you that aren't aware, I was very much into true crime podcasts for years. And then right before the pandemic really started, I kind of took stock of my life and my paranoia and my anxiety. And I was like, I wonder what's causing this. Oh, it's probably the fact that I go hiking alone and listen to murder podcasts. That might be a contributing factor. So I dialed back significantly what I was listening to, because that was pretty much the only media I was consuming for a while was murder podcasts. And I also added variety into the podcast that I was listening to, so that it wasn't just like brutal murder, and instead it was like heists and other crimes that I'm fascinated by. I had to reevaluate my media consumption, and I do think that is important to do when you realize that something you are consuming media-wise is negatively affecting you. And the true crime content that I was consuming was negatively affecting me. So Jordan and I had been wanting to go to CrimeCon for a while. She's also into podcasts. We have never been able to go in the past, mainly because distance, timing, we forgot until it was too late, and everything was like $3,000 to go, and it wasn't worth it at the time. And this time around, we got it just in time, where tickets were, I think, still fairly reasonable. I'll pull up my ticket costs at the end, but it was also in Las Vegas, which we could drive to from here in Southern California. So that's what we did. So CrimeCon describes itself as the #1 true crime event. True crime is much more than murder, recreations, and dramatic courtroom showdowns. The genre is rich with real-life stories of triumph and tragedy, heartbreak and heroism. It runs the gamut from the criminal mind to the criminal act and the criminal justice system, leaping into action. It's about psychology, victimology, and methodology. It covers seemingly unrelated disciplines as wide-ranging as science, art, and history. And it's always changing, evolving, and mirroring what is happening in society at large. From the latest cases to the latest scientific techniques, from the newest TV shows and docs to the best podcasts in the world. And from deep dives into topics you didn't even know existed to big ballroom sessions with personalities you watch every week, CrimeCon is the platform that delivers it all. So it's, again, VidCon for crime. There's really no other way for me to explain it. It's got industry people, it's got journalists, it's got a lot of podcasters, it's got a couple of different little vendors and things like that. The Paris show. He's eating my ankle. Can you stop? Jordan's here.
Hi.
We're back in the hotel room because she had to come to the hotel room and get her stuff here, but we were at the event. And I'm starving. So as soon as she's done, I'm dragging her to go find food. CrimeCon is a 3-day event, and it took place at the Paris Hotel, specifically their convention center. Side note, the convention center at the Paris is stunning and also massive. Oh my God. If VidCon ever did, like, I always use VidCon as a comparison because I feel like with social media, that's a good comparison. But it's a massive showroom. Like every room I went into, including the breakout rooms, were full-size ballroom things that worked with the amphitheaters. Like TanaCon would not have a problem in this event, like at all. Like there would have been plenty of room for everyone. We got the regular CrimeCon passes, the general admission. We did not get VIP. VIP did get you a bunch of stuff. I kept meaning to find someone to sit down with who had VIP, but it just was not working out to see like what they, you know, if they thought it was worth it, what they got out of the situation. There was gold VIP and then platinum VIP. And then there was also Crime HQ, which is the CrimeCon like special club that you pay a certain amount of money each month to have access to. And it got you access to specific talks. I believe VIP had the same thing where they had access to various meet and greets and book signings that me at General Admission did not go privy to. So this is the first CrimeCon in person that they've had since the pandemic, obviously. So the opening session was a video clip, a very short, like 5-minute video clip of a lot of the major cases that happened in the last 2 to 3 years. Gabby Petito was in there. George Floyd was in there. There was a lot of various cases that I'm going to be honest, I hadn't heard of prior to that. Welcome to CrimeCon. Welcome back to the biggest CrimeCon ever or something like that. And it was very heavily attended. I don't know if they had various like one-day passes or anything like that, but the first day, it was insane. Obviously, opening day, it's going to be crazy. And then the last day, it was also pretty hectic, but it definitely dwindled by the time the end of the event itself. So the overall convention layout itself is pretty standard, I would think, where they have the Expo Hall that included Podcast Row and one stage where there were smaller talks, but then also live podcast tapings. I tried to sit in on a couple of them, but I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's my focus or my hearing itself. I was having difficulty hearing them over what else was going around me. I don't think it was my hearing. I truly do think that it was because I have the attention span of a gerbil and I just need to be like, oh, what did they say? You know, like I think it's that. It might be my undiagnosed ADHD. Who knows? You know, but Jordan seemed to have no problem listening. So naturally, because of the way the conventions work, I was not able to go to every single presentation or talk. And that was reasonable for me to not do so, you know, because there's overlapping things. They had the main ballroom and then 2 breakout rooms and then the stage in the expo hall. So there was pretty much always 4 things going on at one time. I didn't end up going to any of the meet and greets. Probably could have tried, but I didn't want to wait in line. I wanted to, you know, be able to talk to people in the expo hall and things like that and go to various talks. Meet and greets weren't really important to me at that point. They also had like a little food station towards the back of the venue itself and a gift shop. Now, I did get a official CrimeCon sweatshirt, but that being said, I did get this from one of the expo halls. It says, don't Instagram your crimes. And that spoke to me when I saw it on the rack. I am a big proponent of Be Gay, Do Crime. And I just think it's good sense to not Instagram that. It was being sold by Podcast One, which I believe is a podcast network. So I don't know if this correlates to any podcast. There's no merchandising or anything, logos from the podcast itself. So I think I'm fine. I'm fairly certain I talked to nearly everyone that was in the expo hall and podcast row. I think. I can't be certain. I tried my very best. Side note, every single person I talked to, I would say, and your name is, I'm Amanda. I'm going to be honest with you. I remember maybe 2 names. I wish I was better at remembering names. I always introduce myself and get a name in the hopes that my brain will suddenly rewire itself and I will just become someone who remembers names. I'm still not. So if we talked, there's a very high chance I do not remember your name. You're going to have to describe yourself to me. I'll probably remember your podcast more than I'll remember your name. I'm sorry. It's just... I hate it. A lot of people ask, you know, why did you come to CrimeCon? Do you have a case that you're following? Is there a case that you're interested in? Are you a podcaster type of thing? And I would just be like, oh, well, I'm here because I'm doing a review on it because that's the case. So some people got a little weird about that, which fair, I get it. They think I wasn't filming or anything like most of the time. I pretty much was only filming B-roll. I wasn't doing like what I did at the raid on Area 51 where I was filming constantly because I was expecting something crazy to happen at that one. I really was not expecting anything crazy to happen at this one, to be honest. No, I take that back because I was fairly certain there was going to be at least one true crime stan showing up. I'm sure there were people like that, but that was really not the overall crowd. Pretty much every podcast that I talked to was very excited to pitch themselves, to talk about their podcast and why they were really interested in the crimes that they were covering. A lot of them had stickers. because we were in Vegas, a lot of them had made poker chips. This is from Military Murder, a true crime podcast. She covers a bunch of murders from military personnel and against military personnel and things like that. Soul Stalker, this man and his wife survived a serial killer who killed 300 people. They wrote a book about it. Raymond Romero. This is Minds of Madness. I loved their logo. It's like a dude with like his brain. It's like a cloud. That was a cool logo. Dark Poutine podcast. They are a Canadian-based crime podcast. I did tell them that you guys think I'm Canadian. One of the hosts said he had something where it's like, yeah, they've done studies on, you know, what closely match various Canadian dialects. And apparently one of them is Southern California. That's not Valley Girls. So, I mean, hey, maybe you guys are onto something. Oh yeah, here, Southern Fried True Crime. There's the logo. It's a cross stitch. I love that logo. So going into this event, I was expecting a lot of pro-cop stuff, just a lot of pro-law enforcement stuff. Personally, for those of you that aren't aware, I'm for reform entirely. I think that the current system is fundamentally broken. So I was expecting to go into this event and see a lot of that. And I just kind of knew that was going to be a side effect of this event. I knew that investigators were going to be talking. I knew retired cops were going to be talking. I'm sure that there were also plenty of active law enforcement there. Bringing up, you know, my beliefs of it is that though the event itself and the overall consensus was not talking about, you know, the issues with the current state of law enforcement and things like that. A lot of individuals and individual talks within the presentation itself were talking about the issues with law enforcement. I just wanted to point that out. One of the first talks that I sat through was Nancy Grace. The thing about Nancy Grace, and this is where I personally think that nuance is needed to some degree, at least for myself as someone, you know, looking at media, I can see why Nancy Grace has the belief she has about crime in general. For those of you that aren't familiar, Nancy Grace is a journalist and a former prosecutor and a podcaster with Fox Nation and has a show with Fox Nation. Her story of why she became a prosecutor was when she was in college and about to get married to her fiance. He was murdered in what seemingly was a random act of violence. And so she talked about it a lot in this presentation that she did, and how it, you know, put her into I don't really think she said the words depressive episode, but what she was describing was, you know, not sleeping, not eating, not going outside, went to law school and became a prosecutor. And she talked about some of the cases that she did. And the title of her presentation was "This is War" or "We Are at War." And though I don't agree with the metaphor, I think it's excessive. I personally, as an individual, don't think there's anything healthy to be gained from just the belief that we are all constantly at danger and, you know, to not trust individuals in general, that all strangers are out to get us. I don't think that's healthy. And that's my personal belief. For my own anxiety and mental health, I choose to believe that people are good people until proven otherwise. And then good fucking luck proving me wrong. Something that she made a point of in her presentation that I get what she was doing and what she was trying to do, but I think that what she was doing was not good. She was making a point of talking about victims' name, and he's talking about how light of sentences the rapist got for admitting to rape. She kept focusing on like the survivor's credentials, for lack of a better word, like Stanford student, straight A student. I think she was trying to humanize them, but in the way that she was doing it, it was kind of like, why shouldn't we believe these girls? They're such good girls. I do think there is a problem with that because no one asked to be raped. Just because someone's a piece of shit doesn't mean that they should be raped. Another talk that I saw the first night was the family of the girls from the murders of Delphi. So this is an open case, so certain details about the case the family could not speak of, but the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. On February 14th, 2017, the bodies of Abigail and Libby were discovered near the Monon High Bridge Trail, which is part of the Delphi Historic Trails in Delphi, Indiana, United States, after the young girls had disappeared from the same trail the previous day. The families and one of the girls' sisters was at the event, and they were speaking about it. The current thing that they are looking into, because they believe that this was a random act, but they found out that one of the girls had been in communication with an Instagram account called Anthony Shots, Anthony_Shots. The account was active from 2016 to 2017 or 2018, I believe. I've decided to not post the photos here in this video because the person who is in these photos, the guy in the photos, is not related to this case at all. His photos were stolen. One of the girls was in connection or in communication with this account, and there is potential belief that maybe the person who ran this account lured the girls out there to meet them that day. Investigators are asking that if anyone had any interaction with the Anthony Shots account, Anthony_Shots, that they reach out to law enforcement. They are looking for literally anything to hopefully bring closure to these families. A lot of free stuff at this event. Got this from one of the investigation discovery shows. This was from a raffle. Went to a talk with Faith Jenkins. She is the new host for the show on Oxygen Killer Relationships. They gave us red flags to wave during her presentation. I wanted to talk about this one because Stephanie Gomolka is an Oxygen correspondent. She was doing this talk with Faith. I wanted to point this out because she said something that I kind of didn't hear for most of the event. I don't want to say that I didn't hear it from the entirety of the event because I'm sure that it was said at other times and I just didn't hear it. Stephanie was talking about the Killer Relationship show, but her whole thing was, we are going to be talking about real cases right now and going through some of the cases that were on the show. But Stephanie said, I want to point out that these were real people and that we now have the power of hindsight when looking back on it. So it might be easy to say, that's a red flag. Why didn't she listen? Why didn't she leave? Why didn't he leave? Why didn't all this stuff? But we have the power of knowing what happened. I did appreciate that note being made and the time to be taken to say that. Oh yes, this is the talk that me and Jordan both adored. Jason Beard, forensic entomology, insects investigation. He had a fantastic talk. Very much enjoyed his presentation. He was a very good speaker. His talk was very dynamic. He answered everyone's questions, was very excited about what he was talking about. He's the bug guy. Forensic bug guy. He started his presentation by saying, so I've actually applied to be a part of other crime cons and my presentation was denied for being gross and disgusting because it's bugs and dead bodies. Personally, I've always been fascinated by the forensic side of crime and true crime in general, so I got a lot out of his presentation. Everyone in the room seemed to really like it. No one got up and left that I could see. Great speaker. I honestly, if he taught a class, I would go see it. I was like, wow, bugs are cool. I liked it a lot. I have been to a lot of concerts. I saw 5 Seconds of Summer open for One Direction, okay? I don't think I have ever seen so many people lose their minds in one room as I did when Keith Morrison walked on stage during the Dateline presentation.
Yeah, I guess that's it. That's right, yeah.
I'm surprised no one threw a bra. So the entire cast of Dateline came out. They talked about, the differences in doing podcasts and streaming and, dramatized true crime like The Thing About Pam. Keith Morrison, I believe, is the one who narrated that show because he did the podcast. What I got out of that one was just the overall insanity of the crowd. It was, the room was packed full. Fathers fight. David Robinson's search for his missing son, Daniel. This is one of the other cases that I really wanted to talk about. Daniel Robinson was the geologist. He went missing June 23rd, 2021 in Buckeye, Arizona. His car was found. He was not. The thing about Daniel going missing is that this was around the time that the Gabby Petito case became publicized. Any potential focus that Daniel might have received for being missing ended up going to Gabby Petito. Hard to handle this part with kid gloves because at the end of the day, Gabby Petito lost her life and I don't want to negate that. But at the same time, there's no reason that Daniel also should not have gotten attention. He has been missing for over 10 months now, and it is still not classified as a missing person because he's an adult. Family has been told by law enforcement that he could still have just walked away and left because he's an adult. They are not helping. David Robinson was talking about how he is literally out in Arizona with volunteers doing their own grid searches, trying to find Daniel or anything of Daniel. They have actually found 5 other potential remains of human beings out from their own grid searches. And so far, nothing has led back to Daniel, but they keep handing these remains over to law enforcement. And so far, they're doing mostly nothing with them. The family has organized a $10,000 reward if you give any information or help bring Daniel home. The Family at this time does have hope that Daniel is alive, but the fact that it has been 10 months and law enforcement is not even declaring him a missing person is insane. And it's all just because he's an adult. Daniel was last seen leaving his work job site in Buckeye, Arizona on 6/23/21 near Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road. This talk, when they did the questions, a lot of people got up and said, I'm from that area. We're familiar with how inept the police department is. They are woefully understaffed for the area that they are covering. So unless you are in their direct route, they will not be of help. There was someone who said, I literally live on the other side of that road. Here's my phone number. I will come and help you search. And I just thought that that was really great, in particular that there was already, just from this one talk, there was a whole group of people willing to rally around this. And I thought that was really great. So hopefully me just doing this as well will get more eyes on this case and hopefully bring Daniel home. This is why I don't cover true crime. I get too involved. I get too worked up. This is why I don't cover true crime. This is sad. I don't want to... Moving forward. Day 3. Around 10:20-ish is the Russ Faria and his defense attorney talking about the Thing About Pam. I was familiar with the podcast. I was familiar with the case. I watched the show that just came out starring Renee Zellweger. A lot of people have kind of said that this can't be how it happened. It's so clearly Pam. How did the investigators, how did the prosecutor not know that it was Pam? Why did they all railroad Russ? Surely there's something missing from the depiction. And Joel was just showing, no, here is the literal evidence. Here is the courtroom footage. Here is the interrogation footage. Here is the literal cell evidence. Here is all the receipts. Here is the proof that Russ's alibi is real. Here's how it was in the show. It's all legitimate. They made the choice to continue pursuing Russ. Russ talked, Joel talked, everyone had questions. The only thing that they really kind of spoke about that was, I guess, almost in contradiction to the show itself was Russ was asked if his and Betsy's daughters had spoken with him since everything. And he said, they have tried after he won a case against the city for wrongful imprisonment, I believe. They didn't reach out to him until after he had been awarded the money. According to him, I spoke about how it's look, I wish them the best, but at this time, I'm going to live my life and they can live theirs. But yeah, we're not pursuing any type of connection. And in the show itself, it kind of made it seem like at least one of Betsy's daughters was wanting to make amends with Russ at the very least. So that was the only thing that I would say that was really in contradiction, if that is even the right, contradiction's not even the right word. Just kind of fluffed a bit for television. Russ's fiance was actually there as well. She popped up and said hi. His fiance, gosh, what was her name? I'm a terrible person. She was the first person that Pam tried to pick up to film a segment for Dateline that got out of the car and said, take me back. I don't want to do this. I am ready, or getting ready, for the CrimeCon after party at the Mob Museum. Jordan had to leave a couple of hours ago. She has class tomorrow, so she had to drive back tonight. And so I'm going to the after party alone. So I will be reviewing that for you as well. I'm learning something about myself with various settings. I need to be in very specific social settings for small talk and to just start a conversation with someone. CrimeCon itself, the expo hall, I can talk to people like that, mostly no problem, because there's an expectation that they want to be talked to. The mob party itself, no. It's not like they didn't potentially want to talk. I just automatically assume I'm annoying and then I'm already taking up space. And so I probably, if you saw me there and I looked like a ghoul floating around the exhibits, that's what was happening. I was just I don't want to annoy anyone. I tried to talk to Paul Holes. I didn't even say 2 words to him. I just kept finding him around and I was I should talk to him. I should get a photo. And I didn't. It's not I didn't have the opportunity to. I didn't. If anyone has any suggestions for that, how to fix that about myself, that would be lovely. But overall, the Mob Museum, this is the first time I've ever been. I got a lot out of it. I did the VIP ticket, which involved a private, intimate tour, which I really liked a lot. It was smaller groups. There was maybe 8 of us. And they had one of the tour guides and then also a family member of someone who was working with the museum or was a part of the Las Vegas mob family history and was a family member of them. But to be honest, again, forgotten name. He was really cool. He seemed very excited to talk about stuff. But the Mob Museum works with a lot of families and family members of people for memorabilia and things like that to be donated to the museum. So they work with a lot of families. So pretty much every tour had a family member from a prominent family in the space to join us on our tours, which I thought was really cool. And then we just got free run of the museum for a few hours, which I got a lot out of. I love that. I love being able to wander museums and not feel rushed, which I liked a lot. The standard badge was $379 when I bought it in March. There was a sales tax of $31.76. I mean, for a 3-day convention, that's not too terrible, I don't think. I'm sure there's earlier options. They were doing early discount things while I was there for future one. The next one's going to be in Orlando next year, I believe. There's another one I think going to be in London. They're doing a crime cruise. Am I the only one that sees concern with that one? I mean, in general, right now, cruises are still stressing me out. I don't know. There's like several missing person and or murders that have taken place on cruises. I don't think CrimeCon on a cruise is a good idea, but that's just me. Would Jordan go again? I don't know. You know what? Hang on. Let's call her.
How are you?
Hi, I'm filming and you're on speaker. Would you go to CrimeCon again?
Where is it?
It's just based on CrimeCon. Would you buy another ticket?
Yes, I would, depending on who is going.
Did you like the format itself? Did you like the layout?
Yeah, I mean, like some recurring speakers would be good if, there was new focus or a growing perspective. But,
crime is not going away, so I'm assuming there will always be new cases to cover. Straight from the mouth of someone who's not terminally online, but does love true crime. Maybe if there was a speaker or a podcast that I really liked that was doing something, maybe I would be willing to go again. Personally, I got what I needed out of this one. I have a podcast. It's not a true crime podcast. Not really. Shenanigans are shenanigans, usually not criminal acts. Just on occasion, they're criminal acts. If you really like true crime, or if you are a family member of someone of a violent crime, or you have experienced a violent crime and you're trying to raise awareness, there was a lot of attendees with that storyline. And that sounds so bad. I'm trying to think of the proper wording here. They went there for a reason. They were trying to raise awareness. They were trying to get new faces on their missing loved ones and things like that. And they didn't have presentations like David Robinson, but they, were handing out flyers to the podcast booths and telling their stories like, hey, if you are able to speak about my child, I would very much appreciate that, or anything like that, and leaving missing persons flyers. Right now, I think crowdsourcing support for, finding your missing loved one, or, getting answers for an open case, I think is just the way it's going right now. I don't think more eyes on something could hurt. The Mob Museum experience, I got a lot out of. I really liked that. I would absolutely take my dad to go see that if it was like the similar setup with like the more intimate tour experience, and then free run of the museum. I think he would really like that. As far as this being set in Vegas, I don't think there was an issue with it being set in Vegas, other than the fact that it was also draft weekend, NFL draft weekend. Traffic was insane. It's just a timing situation. I don't think that was intentional. And I don't follow sports, so I had no idea until I got the warning from Bally's that, hey, by the way, it's draft week and here's where you're parking, So that's going to be it. Have you ever been to CrimeCon? Would you go to CrimeCon in the future? Have you ever wanted to go to CrimeCon? Did you not hear about CrimeCon until I just told you about it? Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I have a podcast, the Swell Entertainment podcast. It's not true crime related because I don't have the stomach for it. I just don't. I get too worked up and too anxious. I would be a nightmare if I had a true crime podcast, but that'll be linked down below. New episodes every Wednesday. I also have merch like that mug back there. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting my Patreon. You could also explore my Patreon. I'll list it down below. If you'd like to follow me on my social media, that'll be up here. And that's going to be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. I love how even though I'm only going to focus on the convention side of things, I still got worked up talking about the cases. Thank you, Audrey, Alan, Cameron, Christopher, Chris, Cody, Crash PC, China, Devin, Dirty One, Don, Elliot M, Feckless, Hopeless, Incognito, Jecka Ray, Joe, John M, Jordan, Joseph, Kenny, Kim, Kristen, Lamb, Lex, Lisa, Luis, Matt, Matt O, Matthew S, Meme Lord, Michael, Michael J, Micah, Nathan, Nathaniel, Pat, Penn, Richard, Rob, Red, Robert, Ross, Sam, Serena, Skylar, Simon, Tasha, Timothy, Tom, Wendy, William, Winter, Zenders, Wink.